and so forth. But my name is Dittmer. I'm assistant project leader with ODFW. And I'm just going to have a simple PowerPoint, kind of show you guys a couple different shiny apps I've made. Some are related to pit tag data and some's related to fins, directly what Brittany just talked about. And all these apps are pretty useful for me, ODFW, co-managers, and then co-managers broadly speaking about, I'll get into it in a bit, but there's a lot of people that can use these apps to benefit them. So this is kind of the outline for my PowerPoint. A year in Chinook monitoring, we have pit tags, we have fins, we have survey 1 through 3. So with pit tags, in a month, I'll be doing preseason return to river estimates for Chinook returning to rivers in Northeast Oregon. And then between April and September, we use pit tags to monitor returning fish. With fins, between May and September, hatchery staff operate weirs. And as Brittany mentioned, currently Looking Glass Creek trapper weir and the Naha weir enters fins normally on a daily basis, but at least every couple of days they upload that data to fins. And then with survey 1, 2, 3, we utilize that for spawn ground surveys, hatchery spawn for both Chinook and steelhead. And we also use it for steelhead creel. And this typically all takes place between August and March. So leading into my first section of pit tags, beginning in around April, I go to a weekly snake basin coordination call where various agencies, ODFW, Idaho Fish and Game, in Washington meet, and everyone kind of goes around and gives a report on how their stocks are doing, their preseason estimates, and share with the group. These are used to potentially do in-season adjustments to preseason estimates. And these adjustments are at times extremely relevant for weir management and sport fisheries. These could be sport fisheries like back at home in the headwaters where the fish are going, or even sport fisheries on the Columbia and the Snake River. So I'm going to begin to talk about my shiny apps. I just wanted to stress that all of these shiny apps are automated with scripts, and they pull from a couple different sources, but all of it is done via APIs, and there's separate scripts that download and manipulate data to prepare them to be displayed in these shiny apps. And every time that the app is opened, it runs and it says, okay, is there new data that I don't have yet? And if that's yes, there's new data, it pulls it in and then it caches it for the rest of the day. And then the next day it does the same thing. Someone opens the app. Is there new data? Yes or no? If there is, it downloads it and caches it to use for the remainder of the day. And all these shiny apps, I made them to just allow for easy data viewing for managers. The first app I'm going to get into, I named it the Main Stem Run Tracker. It's a shiny app for main stem pit detections in the Columbia and the Snake River. I have one for Chinook and one for steelhead. I'm going to talk about the one for Chinook right now. Within the app, there's aspects to the preseason estimates and incorporate pit tag expansions. So more or less all this data that's in the app is publicly accessible with the caveat of the pit tag expansion values. Theoretically, someone could find out how to calculate those on their own, but it would be pretty tricky for a member of the public to do that. It incorporates historical data from previous returns. It incorporates PBT versus pit tag estimates. So as Brittany and Joseph stressed, when we do our hatchery spawning, we take genetic samples, we get PBT data. Historically, they have been doing one sample event at Lower Granite Dam in the spring Chinook, summer Chinook return, where they subsample X number of fish, correlate them back to the stocks, expand on that, and they come up with a pit or a PBT expansion value of returning stocks. This past year, they actually did it 3 times. So they had 3 separate sampling events at Lower Granite Dam for returning adult Chinook. And within the app, I incorporate the most recent TBT expansion value and compare it to whatever that day's pit tag expansion value is. Sometimes pit tags say a lot more, TBT says a lot more, and it just allows people to see the data. I don't make any judgments on which one's better. I just show it to people for them to be able to view it. So when the Shiny app's loading, within this app, there's 2 download features within it. This first one I call the source file download, and it shows a record for every time an adult fish was detected. It shows its mark site code, its mark file, its release dates, release site code, river, if it's wild or hatchery, its migration year, release year, and every row is where it's observed at, which dates. It's kind of like a Batagis download, but in my format for my app. So I highlighted this one fish in gray, as you can see in the top. The other download is called the travel time download. And the same record I highlighted in gray is for that same pit tag, except each unique pit tag has 1 row, and it gives just every column for where it was observed at and the date of when it was observed there. And this is a pretty nifty feature for folks that maybe want to check my data, just see it all raw for themselves. They can download this and view it. So going into the app, there's a lot of tabs in here. I don't have time to break down every one for you guys, but I'll give a broad overview. There's a navigation pane on this left side of the screen that easily breaks up all main stem detections for adult pit tagged fish, hatchery adults, hatchery jacks, natural fish, and some hatchery release information. So going back up to the top, all main stem detections, adult pit tag counts. It breaks up by release river and origin where the fish are going. And it shows the pit tag counts within parentheses and the expanded value based on the pit tag expansions and the first numerical value listed there. We have expansions for hatchery fish. We do not do expansions for wild fish at the moment. And this is kind of like, if people want to quickly see what's going on with Chinook returning, they open the app and this is the first table that they care about. It also shows the conversion rate from Bonneville to Lower Granite Dam. So the source file for this Batagis API download that I'm using to get this ran from, I think, March 1st to the end of September. So all this data it's not going to change anymore. And you can kind of see the conversion rates for all of our rivers, for their different rear types and how they all shaped out. Just surprisingly, we only had 3 Upper Grand Round hatchery pit tags. And apparently they had a 100% conversion rate, which people that are familiar with the Upper Grand Round knows that's not actually true. But that's what it's showing here. I'll scroll through a little bit more of this app before I move on. This is just the preseason estimates that I originally created. I have their conversion rates based on historical data displayed here as well. It's just number of fish from a release river, Bonneville, how many are at Bonneville, how many are in Lower Granite, and how many are going to get in the tributary. And this next figure 1 in the red box, that is the preseason estimate, and the blue box or the blue bar is the current pit tag expansion. So if you open this up on March 1st, there would be no blue boxes here and there'd just be red boxes. And then the next day, if some fish went over Bonneville, some of those blue boxes might get bigger and bigger, so on and so forth. And yeah, there's more tables that talk about pit tag expansions versus the preseason estimate of Bonneville Dam. We have daily counts of adult hatchery Chinook at Bonneville Dam, cumulative run timing for the past couple of years, and when this app is running its normal time, there's a red bar that shows today's date displayed on the x-axis. More information about run timing. And then here, I'm going to stop running through it, but this is an example of me incorporating the genetic TDT estimate versus the pit tag expansion value. This is the only part of the app that I have to manually upload throughout the year. If they run the PBT strata, someone sends me an Excel file, and I just plug it in, and it goes in the PBT strata 1. They send me another one, I plug it in, and it goes in the PBT strata 2, so on and so forth. And I can't take credit for all the nifty features in the Shiny app because Joseph Feldhaus actually wrote code for a fair bit of them, and they were using a markdown file. And at some point, I was just historically for the past couple of years, we would run this markdown file every Monday for this meeting. And I've been in this job for a year and 11 months, so I've done this twice. I've been responsible for updating people on, oh, what are the Chinook doing? And like, I would get a lot of emails at various points in the week about what's going on, I have to run the markdown for them and send them the output. And one day I was like, oh, I think I can just make a Shiny app to automate all this. And that's what I just walked through with you guys.
So the cool part here is the connection between Looking Glass Fish Hatchery, the data we collected for the spawns, turning the data into fins. That data is being used by snake basin managers to make decisions in season real time.
So that wraps up me going through the main stem run tracker app for you guys, and that's going to go directly into the tributary run tracker app. This is a Shiny app for tributary pit tag detections and displays all anadromous fish that are returning to Northeast Oregon after they leave the Snake River. I should mention though, for this main stem run tracker, there are 2 Patagus queries and an API that run, and then a static tag list, and all that is used to generate all the information I just walked through with you all. For this tributary run tracker app, there is 3 Patagus API queries that I use. And it displays the fish after they leave the Snake River, and it also displays the timer tag report for various pit tag arrays in Northeast Oregon. So when that is loading, I'll show you guys a quick example that I downloaded yesterday of within the app, you select your river and select your dates, and it filters the view for you. I'll show you in a second, and it has a download data feature. And so I queried to the Naha. I changed my start date back to, I think, March or April, and hit download. And it downloads an Excel file like I'm showing you right now, and there's a tab for every array that we have within the Naha. So there's IR1 Chinook, IR2 Chinook, IR3, 4, the ladder, and IR5. And it just displays all the information that you want to know about each individual adult Chinook that was detected in the Naha, which array it was on. It shows the last time it was detected in the ladder. The ladder is the Lower Granite Dam ladder. It shows the first time it was detected in the tributary after it was detected in the ladder. That's how I tease out if they're adults or not. And then it shows the last time it was detected in the trib, because sometimes fish don't always keep going up. They'll turn back and then they'll go back up again. It also displays information like the mark length, the antenna it was detected on, and the expansion values for their hatchery fish. So jumping over to the app. This is what the app looks like. There's 3 tabs: all origin, single origin, and timer tag report. I'll just walk through the all origins with you all. So recently, we're moving kind of more towards steelhead time, and I can control the default start range or the start dates, and I changed it September 1st. But for the purposes of this conversation, I'll change it. The Naha is my favorite river, so I always default to that. So I'll go select river of Naha. I have the ability to select Chinook, steelhead, coho, or sockeye. I'm gonna leave it on Chinook. I'm gonna change the start date to, oh, let's just do May 1st and see what it looks like. So again, there's a table that shows IR1, IR2, 3, 4, ladder, and 5. It shows the raw count of pit tags. And then for hatchery fish, when I have expansion values, there's a slash and it shows the expansion number, which is just an estimate. And then on all these tables that you're looking here, it shows how many fish by origin were seen on each individual day, so on and so forth. Again, this app updates with new data every single day. I have this little note in the top of all of my apps that say the Hatchery data last updated today at 5 a.m. just to make people feel more confident about they're looking at fresh, real data. Something funny to point out, so you look at all these graphs that we're looking at, there's not really any big gaps between them. And then you get to IML, which is the ladder. So Joseph and I recently learned that the hatchery staff didn't actually install the ladder array into the ladder. And then you're asking me like, okay, if they didn't do that, why are there any detections there? Well, when they work up fish from the weir, they have an HPR device and that counts as the
Actually,
ladder.
we have a measuring board antenna at the, I'm not how weird, it is a pit tag antenna. So when they place the fish on the measuring board, it's automatically collected and detected by the interrogation site. So,
So then you don't have to like yell the number,
and so if a tag is detected, a little flash, a light flashes, and then they know to wand that fish to record the tag on paper. But the date, but it's effectively getting daytime stamped by the multi or the master controller in the interrogation site. It's probably the only site in Oregon that does that.
That sounds really special though.
It's pretty awesome. It was expensive.
But I mean, like, you wouldn't have to yell.
So to wrap up kind of this tab within this app, in the select river, there's pretty much every river I could think of in Northeast Oregon and Washington. I have Joseph Creek on here that has pit tag arrays that automatically uploads the data. And you can just click your river, click your species, and it's going to show data if there's data there to be shown. There's a single origin tab, which just makes you not have to see all hatchery, natural, and unknown tabs. And then lastly, there's a timer tag report. There's been a fair amount of pit tag arrays that go down over time. And the best thing that I could figure out of how to see if a pit tag array is working or not is the timer tag report. And so this also gets new data for the past 2 weeks. You go to your river and displays all the antennas. If it's green, it's good. Some of these are red just because of when this was ran. There wasn't data for it yet, so you can go back a couple days. But green is good. That means that the timer tag is working as it should work. One thing that is interesting is a couple months ago, when you'd click this drop down, there would be like, I don't know, 10 or 12 different rivers to select. That's because people cared about the pit tag arrays and they're maintaining them and they're working properly. Well, as of the past 2 weeks, a lot of the arrays up here have not been maintained and they're not working. So all the rivers you can see here have submitted timer tag reports for the past 2 weeks. Any that are not shown here, there's been no timer tag reports for the past 2 weeks. Back to my PowerPoint. I'm jumping into my next section called fins. So as Brittany walked through, hatchery staff operate weirs for returning Chinook. We manage most of our rivers with weirs on sliding scales. This has a lot to do with number of hatchery fish and natural fish returning. Depending on how many natural fish and hatchery fish there are, hatchery staff that are operating the weir have to choose if they pass fish above or below the weir, collect the fish for broodstock, maybe outplant the Chinook, kill the Chinook and give them to tribal distribution for tribal members, and much more. So as Brittany stressed, if data is uploaded in the fins, it allows us to have automation of daily management decisions. That's leading into my Weir Tracker app. It's a shiny app for weir management planning. Can't take much credit for this app. Kyle Bratcher wrote most of it. He's the district fish biologist out of the enterprise office for Loudoun County. He just asked me to publish it for him. The way he created this app, it guides hatchery staff for broodstock collection, fish to pass above or below the weir, and it allows for easy data viewing for managers to see and use. There's no login or query skills needed. You just need the URL for this app. And it pulls fins data daily from the API via GitHub Action that Brittany talked about earlier. When that app is loading, this app also has a download feature in it, and it pretty much just allows people to do a fins download, but from a Shiny app and not needing to have a fins login or any querying skills. And the way it's set up right now is it just downloads all the trap information for all of the traps that are included for the current year, shows species, origin, sex, length, adult, recap, add mark, where the fish was moved to, what its disposition, and what its purpose was. Just kind of a broad overview of what's going on with the weirs in a downloadable Excel file format for anyone to download. So getting into the weir management and planning app, you can select your river, you select your view. So I mentioned to you all that Kyle downloaded this, or Kyle created this app, and he uses it for the guys that operate the Naha weir to know what to do. So this green bar on the right, typically it's at the week of the year that represents. So the weir's down for right now, it's stuck on the last one. But imagine if the green bar was up at the first row where it says week display 0. It shows plans collection of 1 natural fish and 2 hatchery origin fish. So on the right, furthest right columns, it says actual natural origin, actual hatchery origin, and actual jacks. So the way he built this app is if the people that are operating the weir either not able to or just don't follow his plans collection schedule, it automatically tells them, okay, for the next week, this is your adjusted natural origin and hatchery origin collection schedule. So all they need to do is put the data in the fins and open this app, and they can just follow the guidance that's shown here. It does similar concepts for past above the weir, and for the Naha and Looking Glass Creek, there's just the simple dispositions table that shows the counts broken up by adults in jacks and jails and by origin of the purpose, where they're moved to, and just the total counts of these fish. So for example, you can see there was 207 hatchery adults taken for broodstock this year. There's 3 that were disposed in the landfill, 199 passed by the weir, 77 put in a Big Sheep Creek, and 28 put in a Lit Creek, And 286 brought to the Wallowa Hatchery. That's actually fish that were given to the tribe for tribal distribution, but Finn's displays it as moved to Wallowa Hatchery. My last shiny app I'm gonna walk through with you guys has to do with survey 123 and spawning ground surveys. It's a single survey form used by 8+ agencies with normally 50 or more unique surveyors. Historically, before I started, when Joseph had my job, they would collect all the data with paper. Joseph made some changes to the paper data collection to make it much more efficient than it sounds like it was when he first started. But there's still a lot of issues with paper data collection, mainly people losing the paper data sheets. When you go to electronic data, it sounds great, but there's still a lot of caveats that people don't think about. Most of which is people actually need to submit their surveys. They can't just collect them and put them in their outbox. And it's kind of hard to track. Okay, there's 13 sections being done today. Did this person doing the second highest section actually submit their survey?
We need to follow what Roger set up with expected surveys.
Oh, I've got it. So these are completed annually for a long-term data set, the spawning ground surveys. Some general things people care about. The next day after the survey, some people do, or after the surveys are done. About this time of year, what was seen, was the survey actually submitted? Who did the survey? Was there more than one submission for the same section? So with survey 123, you have side channels and braids. You can have 3 people do the same survey on their phone and submit data. So survey 123 data. This is just an example. This is going to play a video of what data would look like from survey 123 online from a survey that was done on September 4th. So I put in a date filter for September 4th. Here's all of my surveys. This is the section I care about, Weird Crazy Man Creek. This is kind of messy, and that was the point of me trying to show it to you guys, is this is one way to view the data that I could allow co-managers to have access to if you were curious about survey results.
But it's not intuitive because you have to know how to log in and find it.
Yeah, you can log in, I need to have permission for you to view the data. There's a lot of steps that need to be done properly to have this work. Then you need the skills to figure it out.
Or beware of electronic data collection.
Especially when you're off the coast of Africa.
Yeah.
I don't know the doctor.
It's recorded.
So the video I just showed you guys was a survey from September 4th on the Naha from Weird Crazy Man from a survey 123 view. This next slide and video is from the next shiny app. I'm going to briefly show you guys with the same view for the same survey.
Did you say weird crazy man? I didn't know.
Weird Crazy.
Crazy man.
So I'm kind of hovering my mouse around the survey I wanted to show you guys in the video. In this table, survey submission status, if it is green, it means it was submitted. It shows me how many submissions there were. It shows the planned survey dates, the actual survey dates, the river site ID section, who the surveyors were, and then it just lumps together how many new reds, old reds, carcasses, and live fish were seen on this tab. And then in the survey data tab, this is kind of a mock data sheet version. Again, I'm querying my river, my survey dates, and then I'm picking my section, Weird Crazy Man Creek. And it usually shows there's 71 entries of new reds and what all their IDs were. I can see there's no flagged reds with no waypoints. I see how many live fish there were. And I see records for all of the carcasses that were recovered on that day pretty easily with the Shiny app. So spawning ground survey tracker is a shiny app for displaying survey data. It downloads data automatically from GIS Online instantaneously when the app is ran. So if someone submits a survey, you open the app, that data is pulled from the cloud from an API with Survey 123, GIS Online, and feeds the data in my app. It's easy data viewing for managers to see and use. It's survey or submission status, has a survey data sheet. I'll quickly open the app. So I kind of showed the video of this to you guys, but I'll try to pick a good example. All these examples are good because I have no red ones.
Yeah, the red one.
All right. So I would mostly use this tab I'm showing you guys probably more than anyone else did because it's super easy for me to track. Like, okay, I know we surveyed X number of sections today. People should submit their surveys when they get back to the office. In the morning, before I went up for the next survey, I would open this website, query yesterday's date, and I would look for red. And I'd be like, is the red supposed to be there or should it not be there? And if it wasn't supposed to be there, I'd email whoever I need to email, like, hey, submit your survey, please and thanks. And it is also with Survey 123 and the way that our database is set up for storing this data, the grouped surveys, so if there's more than one submission for the same section, the same date, it can be tricky to get all that data merged together as one. So this flags, you can see right here, if you can see my mouse, number of submissions is 2. And then first is Laura Tennant and John Rombach. And second, that's the second submission, is Laura Tennant. And regardless if there's 1 submission or 5 submissions, it's still with scripting code that I have in the Shiny app, merges together the number of reds, the number of old reds, the number of carcasses, the number of live fish. And
Why
then
are there multiple surveys?
side channels
Oh.
and rates. Yeah, people have to split up and you're away from your survey partners.
And then you want to merge them according to the plan.
With the data, yeah. So like if there's 1 survey section, let's call it section 1, and there's a big braid in it, and me and Joseph are doing a survey. At first, I'll just be recording data on my phone. We get reds, carcasses, it's good to go. We get to the braid and we're like, all right, we got break up. Joseph opens up his phone, picks the dates, survey section, blah, blah, blah. Go through the side channel, and let's say he's doing his, I'm doing mine. I get reds and carcasses, he gets reds and carcasses. When that gets shot in survey 123, it's 2 surveys, but for my purposes, it's still 1 survey, and I just want all that data merged back together into one for the database I eventually put this data into.
Yeah, so we're collecting GPS coordinates on every carcass in red. So if we're on separate side channels, I can't just be like, hey, Joe, I had 4 carcasses. Record the data, because we have GPS coordinates for each carcass.
Yeah.
If you're on the side channel.
You're not gonna call out the longitude and latitude from the data.
We carry big like sound horns.
Yeah.
So one thing to note is intentionally in this app, I do not display flat and long coordinates for any of the reds or carcasses because I don't really want members of the public to be able to find pinpoint where reds or carcasses are. This is just another quick example of what the data sheet can look like. This is Catherine Creek on August 26th. Got some reds, no old reds, 7 live adults, and no carcasses. And then also in this app, as I just put a calendar view in here for folks to see where we're surveying on what days, and then departure schedules from LaGrande, depending on where people are surveying at. Just more information for, we have a lot of volunteers that come out that have never done surveys before, and they're always like, oh, we're going to go, how do I get there? What should I expect to, when should I expect to get back to LaGrande? So this information kind of helps them see everything to make them feel comfortable with what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah.
Looks good.
So just to wrap up, these Shiny apps are pretty slick integrated tools that streamline data access and visualization for ODFW, co-managers, even members of the public. Anyone can access these apps. Granted, I haven't outwardly shared them with members of the public. We do gain a lot of efficiency with automation. It reduces manual work and enables faster and more informed management decisions. And Survey 123 and FINS kind of were moving in the direction of unified survey forms that improve data quality, track submission tracking, and data transparency, which is especially useful for co-managers that might be really invested with a spawn year-end survey on the lost steam. They can quickly go to that app and see what was seen in that survey pretty much instantaneously. And that's the end of my PowerPoint. I'll answer any questions for folks.